So this...
The disclosure of this tape.
Fuck!
There has been a sharp increase in Ukrainian Air Force strikes using U.S.-supplied GBU-39 precision glide bombs, which have a range of over 100 kilometers. One recent strike reportedly eliminated approximately 25 Russian troops in their dugouts. Ukrainian forces eliminated Russian troops who staged a video claiming the capture of Vilna Pole in Donetsk region. Moments after filming their triumph, they were struck by the 15th Mountain Assault Battalion and the 31st Mechanized Brigade. In recent weeks, Russian forces have intensified their offensive operations in the Donetsk region, focusing on key frontline areas such as Avdiivka, Chasiv Yar, and surrounding settlements. Despite deploying significant manpower, armor, and artillery, their attempts to break through Ukrainian defensive positions have largely failed. The terrain in this region has become a deadly trap for advancing Russian troops, as Ukrainian forces, using precision-guided munitions, drone surveillance, and well-prepared fortifications, continue to repel wave after wave of assaults. The Russian military has suffered staggering losses, often advancing only a few hundred meters at a time, or not at all, before being forced to retreat under intense fire. Many assaults are poorly coordinated and rely on sheer numbers rather than tactical superiority, leading to high casualty rates. Footage and battlefield reports show entire units being decimated in open fields and near urban strongholds where Ukrainian defenders maintain the upper hand. This grinding attritional warfare has placed enormous pressure on Russian command structures and logistics. Reports from the front indicate severe shortages of experienced personnel and growing morale issues among Russian troops. Despite months of effort and heavy casualties, Moscow has failed to achieve any significant territorial gains in Donetsk, highlighting the resilience of Ukrainian defenses and the ongoing strategic challenges faced by Russian forces in eastern Ukraine. A Russian soldier with a flair for special effects recounts his grand adventure of going to take a dump.
We ran into the basement, basically, and I was still going out to poop. Desperately wanted to.
And then, while we're running into the basement, they inform us that an FPV drone is flying towards us, precisely. And these bastards, they fly just like this in a line right along the road without a care, looking for a target.
We were already sitting in the basement. I really needed to take a shit, so I just went out. I would have shit myself. So I go out, sit down to take a shit. Well, more like I hear...
So this...
The disclosure of this tape.
Fuck!
Fuck. Fucking hell, concussion! Yeah!
Chish, Urtish here. Explosion at 2 meters. Explosion at 2 meters.
Russia. 80,000 foreigners, mainly from Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, are detained in raids. 20,000 are already on the front line invading Ukraine. Bastrikin lies. Citizenships are forced during detention right before they're sent to war. Kidnapped Ukrainian children are next.
That our military investigative department is authorized by me to conduct regular raids
in those places where migrants are located, together with the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Russian National Guard. For what purpose?
We are catching citizens of the Russian Federation who have obtained foreign citizenship but have not registered for military service, although they are required to do so. We have already caught 80,000 such Russian citizens who not only do not want to go to the front line, but do not even want to visit the military registration office because like this hero, they could be sent to the front line. But this one went for citizenship and those did not. So we have caught 80,000 and registered them for military service, and already 20,000 young citizens of Russia who for some reason do not like living in Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, are on the front line.
The mysterious Russian radio station UVB-76 transmitted a message immediately after the conversation between Putin and Trump. The so-called Doomsday Station once again broke its silence. sending out a signal 45 minutes before the call between the Russian and US presidents. Another transmission was broadcast right after the call ended, just as Putin stepped out to speak to journalists. Conspiracy theorists, your turn. Zakharova claims the Ukrainian delegation spoke Russian during the Istanbul peace talks, accusing Kiev of stealing the language from its people, despite allegedly using it behind closed doors. For the occasion, Zakharova had her hair blow-dried.
What language did the delegations of Russia and Ukraine use during the negotiations in Istanbul?
In Russian. The Russian delegation spoke in Russian. Simultaneous translation was provided in multiple languages, into English, Turkish, and Ukrainian. It's unclear for whom the translation into Ukrainian was because the Ukrainian delegation spoke in Russian. She spoke in Russian.
Thank you very much.
Well, I can also say about how it all went. The Ukrainian delegation read out some sort of introductory part. They had some kind of paper. What they read out loud, but again, not in Ukrainian. They read out the opening statement
into English.
Maybe they were translating for themselves. Well, from English to Ukrainian, but I am not going to judge that. I don't know. But the Ukrainian delegation did not speak Ukrainian during the negotiations.
The Russian dictator, during yesterday's conversation with the US president, claimed that Ukraine had supposedly attacked Moscow on the eve of Victory Day. Putin also alleged that terrorist threats were supposedly foiled in central Moscow, near the Kremlin and Red Square. According to his version, these were so-called attempts to intimidate the leaders who came to Moscow for the May 9th parade. Russian agents are charged in Poland for plotting to assassinate Zelensky. Reuters' Pavlo K. was arrested in April for spying. He gathered intel on Rzeszów Airport to help plan the attack. He faces up to 8 years in prison. Zelensky. The 17th EU sanctions package is a step forward. Russia must feel the full price of war. Sanctions must target oil, tankers, banks, and weapons industry. Grateful to the UK, working with the US too. We're building strength daily for lasting peace. The 13th Kartia Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine performed a successful operation to evacuate a wounded soldier using a ground-based robotic system, delivering the soldier to safety 12 kilometers from the front line. The brigade's press service released footage of the evacuation. A joint operation by a UGV brigade unit and an operational support battalion took place in Kartaya's area of responsibility north of Kharkiv. The Tarhan-wheeled robotic system evacuated a wounded soldier from 0 to 12 kilometers from the front line, covering a distance of 24 kilometers. The UGV was chosen to evacuate the infantrymen because it was impossible to use conventional equipment near the battlefield. The positions of both sides on the battlefield are often cut off from support for many kilometers due to the constant presence of strike FPV drones in the sky. In my opinion, and in the opinion of many colleagues, the evacuation of wounded soldiers by ground robots is now a last resort. That is, if there are no other safer options for picking up the wounded, then a ground robot must go. This is still not the highest level of reliability. Every time such a mission is carried out, everyone is extremely tense, mathematician, head of the UGV department of the Kartia Brigade shared. During such operations, the wounded are extremely vulnerable. The video shows that the soldier's comrades covered him with an armor blanket and did not remove his body armor or helmet in order to protect him as much as possible from possible debris. Another problem with this evacuation method is the immaturity of the technology and the imperfect tactics for using such systems. In my opinion, robotic systems are like FPV drones in 2023, but much more complex, says mathematician, adding that current systems are not fully capable of performing medical evacuation tasks. Such a vehicle should be a separate vehicle, not a regular logistics vehicle. It has more technical requirements and must be seriously prepared, he said. However, despite all the shortcomings, ground-based robotic systems are already significantly increasing the chances of survival for military personnel and enhancing the combat capabilities of troops. Every robot on the battlefield is a life potentially saved. In this case, it is not only the life of our wounded soldier that is saved, but also that of the entire evacuation team, whose work in the danger zone was performed by a ground-based robotic system. Kartaya is actively developing the UGV direction, and our task is to maximize the use of robots in logistics and evacuation. In these areas, they should eventually completely replace humans, Colonel Maxim Golubak, commander of the 13th Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine, comments. Kartaya is one of the most advanced units of the defense forces in the use of UGVs. At the end of 2024, the brigade conducted its first fully robotic combat operation without human involvement. For more details on the specifics of their use and implementation in the military, read the special article, in which Militarny spoke with the brigade's operators.
Вот у тебя дерево, пенек. Ты до него доедешь, повернешь вправо. Видишь дерево?
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.